The same fire that burns you now can forge the version of you they never thought could exist. If you do this, they'll beg you to come back, even if they're with someone else. Sounds wild, right? Sounds like a movie. But it's not fantasy. It's human psychology. See, my friends, people don't beg for what's easy to get. They beg for what they thought they could replace, but couldn't. And when you do this one thing, when you truly commit to it, the tables don't just turn. They flip so hard, the game resets. Hey folks, imagine this. You're a lighthouse on a stormy night. They left your shore thinking another harbor would offer more. But as the waves crash and the winds twist around them, they start to realize you were the light, not the wind, not the tide, not the comfort, the light. And now, without it, everything feels a little more chaotic, a little colder. That's what happens when someone walks away from what they thought would stay dim forever, only to realize that light is getting brighter without them. Here's the truth nobody told you when they left. They didn't leave because you weren't enough. They left because they thought you wouldn't become more. They bet on your stagnation. They thought they could outgrow you, outshine you, replace you. And maybe, just maybe, they was right back then. But not anymore. Not if you do this. Because, folks, chasing them only confirms their choice. Begging only validates their ego. But silence, discipline, self-improvement, that's where the confusion begins. That's when their curiosity turns into doubt. And doubt? Oh, doubt is dangerous, because that's what makes them scroll your profile in the middle of the night. That's what makes them smile in public, but break in private. Doubt plants the seed, and your evolution is what makes it grow into regret. Let's break one of the biggest lies. If I just explain myself, they'll come back. No, my friend, they won't. People don't come back because of explanations. They come back because they feel the absence of your energy. They feel the glow you now carry. They feel the power you built while they were busy pretending they didn't care. And let's not get it twisted. This isn't about revenge. It's about resurrection. You don't come back to prove anything to them. You come back to become something so undeniable that even if they are with someone else, that man starts to feel like a cheap replacement. You don't chase anymore. You build. You rise. You walk like thunder in silence. You move like a king who doesn't beg, because you finally understand. You were never lacking. You were just distracted. So I want you to say this right now, out loud, to yourself. I choose my power. Type it in the comments below. Show me, show yourself, show the world that you're done giving your worth away for free. Smash that like, hit that subscribe, and stay with me, because in the next part, I'm going to show you exactly what to do to trigger that emotional return, even if they're already in someone else's arms. This is where the shift begins. This is where regret gets born. This is where legends rise. Stay rare, stay solid, stay evolving. Number 1, they thought you'd wait forever. Nothing haunts them more than realizing the person they left behind became the version they always wanted without needing them. My friends, let's talk about something that hits harder than silence. That moment when you stop chasing them, and they suddenly feel your absence louder than your presence ever was. See, they didn't leave because they stopped caring. They left because they thought you'd stay exactly where they left you, emotionally available, spiritually frozen, quietly waiting. And the wild part is, many of you do just that, at least at first. You stare at your phone, you scroll through old photos, you wonder if they miss you while they're laughing with someone else. You imagine the worst, that they're happy, that they've moved on, that you've been forgotten. And those thoughts, they don't just sting, they crush your chest like invisible weights. But let's be real, those thoughts aren't facts, they're fears. And fear is a liar with a loud voice, a voice that says, If you don't do something right now, they'll forget you forever. So you panic, you text, you explain, you call, you post. You try to show them how much you still care, thinking that your vulnerability will inspire them to return. But it doesn't, because they're not waiting for you to show emotion. They're waiting to feel the loss of your presence. And right now, you're still giving them the comfort of knowing you haven't moved on. That's not love. That's leverage. Imagine this. You're a flame in the cold, and they're the one who walked away from your fire. They thought they could stay warm elsewhere, and maybe for a while they did. But when that new spark doesn't last, when the room grows cold again, they remember the heat you gave without asking anything in return, the warmth that felt real. But here's the twist. They only miss the fire when it's no longer burning for them. That's why you don't keep the flame alive for someone who left you in the dark. You let it roar for yourself now. Let's break another lie. They didn't leave you because you weren't good enough. They left because they assumed you wouldn't get better. There's a huge difference. They didn't walk away because you lacked value. They walked because they thought your value had peaked. That's what stings the most. They didn't believe in your evolution, but that's exactly where the power begins. Because once you start doing the one thing they never expected, growing in their absence, you become unforgettable. Some of you are afraid to let go because you think letting go means losing them forever. But ask yourself, what are you really holding on to? A version of them that doesn't exist anymore. A story that ended. A connection that's now one-sided. Letting go doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you stop suffering. It means you stop giving someone the ability to control your peace from a distance. You don't heal by keeping the door cracked open. You heal by building a new door entirely, one only you can walk through. They think you'll wait because that's what everyone else did, because they're used to being chased, because they know their absence affects people. But what happens when it doesn't? What happens when you're not the guy who breaks down this time? What happens when you stop chasing and start changing? That's when their confidence turns to confusion, and confusion turns to curiosity, and curiosity, that's the doorway to regret. But let me be honest, it won't be easy at first. It will feel like silence is weakness, like disappearing is giving up. You'll wonder if they're laughing with someone else while you're trying to glow up. You'll feel like you're losing a race you didn't even sign up for, but growth isn't a sprint. It's a marathon of becoming. And the more you run toward yourself, the less you care who they're walking with. Because when they do look back, and they will, they won't find the same man they left behind. They'll find someone who's outgrown the old chapter so much that even they can't recognize you anymore. You want them to beg to come back? Then stop being available for free. Stop showing up for someone who's no longer showing up for you. Your time, your energy, your attention, those are currencies. And right now, you're handing out stacks of gold to someone who bet against your worth. Pull back, not to punish, but to protect, not to make them chase, but to let them feel the cost of losing you. You don't need to post cryptic messages or force a fake smile online. Real growth needs no announcement. The people who need to feel it will, through whispers, through your silence, through the quiet shift in how you walk, talk, carry yourself, through the way you glow when you walk into a room, because now you're walking in for you, not for their attention, not for their validation, but for your mission. So let's rewrite this chapter together. You're not waiting, you're not chasing, you're not checking who they're with or what they're posting. You're not hoping for closure. You are the closure. You are the transformation. You are the storm they didn't see coming. And when they realize the door is no longer open, when they realize that someone else might now experience the evolved version of you, that's when they'll beg to come back. But by then, you'll be walking in a direction they no longer fit in. Say this with me right now. I don't wait. I elevate. Type it in the comments, folks. Let the world see that you're no longer that man who waits around for breadcrumbs. You are building the table now. You're reclaiming your value. You're stepping into your power. And stay with me, because in the next part, we're going deeper into how your emotional absence becomes the most unforgettable presence in their life. That's where things really start to shift. And trust me, you'll want to know exactly how to make that silence echo in their soul. So don't go anywhere. Stay focused, stay sharp, stay rising. Number 2, emotional absence is the real scarcity. People don't chase what's always there. They chase what suddenly disappears and takes their peace with it. You want to know what really messes with their head? It's not your last text. It's not that long apology. It's not the playlist you sent at 2 a.m. hoping they'd feel something. It's not the closure convo, the let's just talk moment, or even the tears you couldn't hold back. No, what truly gets to them is silence. That deep, disciplined emotional absence that leaves no explanation, just a void. And that void, that's what they'll hear when the room is quiet. That's what echoes in their soul when the noise dies down. My friends, let's get one thing straight. Your emotional absence is your greatest power. When you stop showing up with your energy, your concern, your presence, it creates a shift, a discomfort, a mystery. See, they were used to your availability. They thought they could walk out and still keep the door halfway open, that you'd always be just a phone call, a message, a like away, that even if they were with someone else, they could still feel you caring, still sense your emotional attachment. That illusion, it fed their ego. That connection, it gave them leverage. And your silence, that's what finally takes all of it away. Imagine you're the sun. You've been shining on them every day, warm, present, familiar. They never questioned it, never even looked up to say thank you. But then one day, your light goes missing. The warmth is gone, the attention gone. And now they're standing in the cold, trying to figure out what changed. That's what emotional absence does. It doesn't scream, it doesn't argue, it doesn't post cryptic stories or beg to be noticed. It vanishes, and what vanishes becomes valuable. We've been told a lie for far too long, that love is proven by presence, that if you care, you must show up again and again and again, even when they've stopped choosing you. But that's not love, that's codependency. And it's time we break that chain. You don't prove your worth by showing up where you're not seen. You prove your worth by walking away when you realize your value has been forgotten. You don't chase someone who felt comfortable replacing you. You disappear and let the silence make them question everything. And let me be real with you. At first, that silence is going to hurt you more than it hurts them, because you've been conditioned to believe that silence equals loss, that not reaching out means you're giving up, that you'll be forgotten. But what if I told you silence is the one thing they never expected from you? That silence is the one thing that can't be ignored, because everyone else begged, everyone else chased. But you disappear, and that makes you dangerous, that makes you unforgettable, that makes you rare. People don't value what's easy to access. That's just how human psychology works. We're drawn to what feels out of reach. And when your energy is no longer pouring into them, they feel it. They might not admit it. They might not show it. But trust me, they feel the shift. That shift shakes them in the quiet moments. When they're scrolling, when they're lying next to someone who doesn't feel like you, when they're smiling in photos but overthinking in private. That's when your silence speaks the loudest. And it's not just about cutting off communication. It's about detaching emotionally. You stop wondering what they're doing. You stop checking if they saw your story. You stop measuring your worth based on their response. You stop feeding the soul of someone who walked away from the table. That's the real flex. That's the real comeback. Not a new relationship, not flashy photos, just inner peace so loud. They can't ignore it. Let's paint the picture. You used to message every morning. Now, nothing. You used to like every post. Now, gone. You used to be the one keeping that invisible thread alive, and now you've cut it clean. That's how you create scarcity. That's how you stop being an option and start being a question mark in their mind. And trust me, people chase what they don't understand. They replay what they didn't expect. They miss what they thought they could live without. Don't post for them. Don't try to show off. Don't throw hints like breadcrumbs. Live. Quietly, boldly, purposefully. Work out. Read more. Earn more. Heal deeply. And while they're out there searching for a spark, you become the fire they'll never touch again. Say this with me right now. My silence is strength. Write it in the comments below. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you're no longer afraid to walk away in peace, that you don't need noise to be heard, that you don't need attention to have power. Stay with me, folks, because in the next part, we're diving even deeper into how to transform this silence into your full-blown evolution. Because the goal isn't to make them miss the old you, it's to make them realize they'll never touch the new you, and that is where the real shift happens. Stay silent, stay centered, stay legendary. Number 3, heal so hard it makes them curious. Your silence may confuse them, but your transformation, that's what will haunt them. My friends, this is where things start to get serious. See, pulling away is one thing, but healing so hard that it changes your entire energy, that's what leaves a permanent dent in their memory. You want them to beg you to come back, even while they're lying in someone else's arms. Then stop trying to be noticed and start becoming unrecognizable, not louder, not flashier, just better in a way that whispers through the universe, a way that shakes the ground beneath them without saying a word. Let me hit you with something real. Most people aren't afraid of losing you. They're afraid of you becoming someone they can't reach again, someone who grew past the version they had power over. And that's exactly what happens when you stop chasing and start healing. Real healing isn't a social media story. It's not a gym selfie with sad song lyrics. It's not pretending you're over it while secretly refreshing their page. Real healing is silent, internal, ruthless. It's you sitting in the dark with your pain, not avoiding it, but dissecting it, understanding why it happened, what it triggered, and what parts of you allowed it. You want to know what really breaks them? It's not your glow-up. It's not your new haircut or your new watch. It's when they realize the version of you they had access to no longer exists. They start thinking about the old you, the one who waited, who answered every message, who stayed up overthinking for hours. And then they look at who you're becoming now. Someone focused, unavailable, grounded, unbothered. That contrast, it's brutal. And the more you heal, the deeper that contrast cuts. But here's where most people get it wrong. They try to heal as a performance. They go to the gym hoping they sees it. They post quotes hoping they reads them. They move in silence, but peek out every once in a while to see if they are watching. That's not healing. That's still chasing. You're still seeking her attention, just through a different disguise. But the truth? They doesn't come back because of what you pretend to be. They only starts to feel the weight of your absence when you're no longer performing for them. When you genuinely stop caring whether they saw your progress or not because you've already seen it yourself. Imagine this. You're building a castle in a place they never thought to look. Brick by brick, emotion by emotion, discipline by discipline. While they out there trying to validate their choices, trying to feel something new, you're in the shadows, quietly becoming the version of yourself that nobody, not even them, believed you could be. And one day, without warning, they hears about you again. Not through your DM, not through a song you sent, but through whispers. A friend mentions your name. A post slides across her feed. A picture pops up and they pauses. And in that split second, they realizes they doesn't recognize you anymore. That's what healing does. It creates curiosity. And curiosity, it leads to questions. Is he really over me? Has he really changed? Who's he becoming now? Why does he seem lighter, like he's carrying less? And the worst question of all, did I walk away right before he became everything I wanted him to be? You heal so hard that your absence makes noise, that your peace becomes louder than your pain ever was, that your new boundaries hit harder than your old apologies. You heal until you no longer need them to say they were wrong, because you've already proven to yourself that you were always capable of becoming more. And no, it won't be easy. There'll be days you miss them, days you wonder if they miss you, days where you feel like the silence is swallowing you whole. But that's the process. That's the breaking before the becoming. Growth is not glamorous. Healing is not Instagram-worthy, but it's real. And when you commit to it fully, not to impress them, but to free yourself, everything changes. You stop checking who they're with. You stop wondering what they're thinking. You stop needing closure because you become the closure. You stop living in the past and start building a future that doesn't require their presence to feel powerful. You let go of the version of yourself that kept shrinking to be lovable, and in doing that, you start expanding in ways that make you impossible to ignore. Say this with me right now. I heal for me. Type it in the comments. Show yourself. Show the version of you that's tired of being broken just to keep someone comfortable. Show the world that your comeback is not about being seen, it's about being free. Because what's coming next, my friends, isn't just about making them regret losing you. It's about you looking in the mirror and no longer recognizing the man who used to beg for someone who never even deserved him. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about how to build a life so bold, so focused, so powerful, that even if they beg to come back, you might just be too far ahead to turn around. Stay grounded, stay focused, stay healing. Number 4, build a life that doesn't look back. The best revenge is not revenge at all. It's building a life so complete they wouldn't even know where to fit in anymore. Let's talk about power, not the loud kind. Not the kind that screams, posts, or tries to prove something. I'm talking about that quiet, magnetic, unfazed, walk into a room and shift the air kind of power. The kind that comes when you stop looking back, when you stop checking if they've noticed, if they've missed you, if they've finally realized what they gave up. And instead, you build, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. Not because you want them to chase, but because you've finally chosen yourself, fully and unapologetically. My friends, this is the moment most men never reach. They pause their lives hoping to rewind the past. They wait for closure, for answers, for some magical moment where everything suddenly makes sense. But here's the truth. If you keep walking while looking over your shoulder, you're bound to crash into what's next. And what's next? That's the masterpiece. That's the version of your life they were never meant to see. The life that doesn't have space for maybes or missed calls. The life that makes people whisper your name like a secret they regret losing. Think about it. Right now, while they're out there pretending to be happy, smiling with someone new, posting like they've moved on, you have a decision to make. Do you stay stuck in the storyline they left you in? Or do you rewrite the entire script without needing their name in the credits? You want them to feel your absence? Build something they were never patient enough to wait for. Build something they can't claim credit for. The version of you that used to orbit around their approval, he's gone now. What replaces him? A man so focused, so intentional, so far removed from needing to be wanted, that they start to feel it without you saying a single word. And no, I'm not talking about fake success. I'm not talking about flexing a lifestyle you can't maintain or pretending you're okay while quietly breaking. I mean real change. You wake up earlier, you train harder, you make money moves, not for attention, but because you finally realize you're the asset. You stop calling them your peace and become your own peace. You build a routine so solid that even your darkest days have discipline. Because that's the foundation power is built on. Picture it. Months down the road, you're out living, not showing off, not performing, just existing in your purpose. And someone tells them about you, not in a petty way, but in passing. They hear your name again, and suddenly the breath catches in their throat. They remember who you were and realize they no longer qualify for who you've become. Because the man you're building now, he doesn't shrink to fit back into old stories. He doesn't return to the same door he once walked out of. He doesn't revisit what already proved it didn't value him. Here's where it gets interesting. The more you build, the less you care if they see it. That's the turning point. When their opinion no longer guides your next move, that's when you become dangerous. In the best way, because now you're building with peace. You're moving in silence. You're no longer tied to their validation. You're living proof that silence and self-respect are louder than any "I miss you" text they could ever send. And you know what happens when you stop looking back? Your energy changes. People feel it. Doors open. New people enter your life. And they don't want the broken, desperate version of you. They want the built version. The man who faced pain, didn't flinch, and kept building anyway. The man who stopped chasing and started creating. The man who doesn't beg to be loved. He commands respect by simply existing in alignment with his mission. It's time to stop keeping a seat open for someone who chose to walk away. You don't build a kingdom waiting for an old flame to return. You build it so solid, so bright, so self-sustaining, that when they do look back, they realize they were never meant to rule beside you. They had their chance, and it passed. And you just kept walking, forward, focused, free. Say this out loud, right now. I build for me. Type it in the comments. Let the world know this isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. That the man you're becoming was always in you. He just needed space, silence, and a little heartbreak to wake up. Stay with me, folks, because in the next part, we're digging into the one thing that will echo louder than your absence. The silence that carries power. The kind that confuses them, lingers in their mind, and makes them wonder if they ever really knew you at all. Stay building, stay rising, stay untouchable. Number 5. Silence is not weakness, it's power that echoes. Your silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means what you're becoming speaks so loud you no longer need to explain yourself. Let's talk about silence, my friends. Not the kind that comes from giving up. Not the kind that feels empty or defeated. I'm talking about intentional silence, the kind that shakes them without making a sound. Because here's what most people never tell you. Silence, when it's backed by growth, echoes louder than any message you could ever send. It confuses them. It unravels their confidence. And most of all, it makes them remember. See, when they left, they expected a reaction, a meltdown, a message, a desperate reach. They thought they'd find you posting sad quotes or looking for attention, because that's what they're used to. That's what everyone else gave them. But you're not everyone else. You don't react. You respond. And your response is silence so thick it feels like a wall they can't see through, a door they thought they left open, but now can't even find. Let me give you a metaphor. You were once their favorite song, on replay, available anytime. But now, the music's gone, the sound is cut, and in that silence, they don't just miss the melody. They start to hear their own thoughts, their own doubts, their own regret. That's the power of silence. It doesn't just leave a space, it forces them to sit in it. And here's the truth they'll never say out loud. They check, they scroll, they ask, they wonder. They think, why hasn't he reached out? Is he hurting? Did he move on? Does he even care? They expect noise because they need reassurance. And when that reassurance never comes, their ego doesn't just bruise, it crumbles. Because now the power dynamic has flipped. You're no longer the one waiting. They are. But silence isn't easy, I know that. You'll have moments where your fingers hover over the keyboard. You'll write and delete. You'll want to break the silence just to remind them you still exist. But that's the trap. Because every time you break it, you give them relief. You validate their choice. You confirm that you're still orbiting their world. And that's the opposite of power. That's surrender disguised as emotion. And you didn't come this far just to fold for a moment of weakness. They think silence is passive, that it means you're done. But silence is active. It's discipline. It's restraint. It's having 1,000 things to say and choosing peace over performance. Because the man who chooses silence chooses self-respect. He doesn't fight for someone who didn't fight to stay. He doesn't chase someone who watched him hurt and walked anyway. You want to haunt their mind. Don't post. Don't message. Don't throw shade. Just vanish. Go ghost in a world that thrives on attention. Let your absence create the weight of what your presence used to bring. Let them scroll through old photos and feel a sting they didn't expect. Let them hear your name from someone else and freeze for a second. Let them realize that you were never loud because you had nothing to say. You were quiet because you were building something they could never touch again. And what's wild is that your silence will eventually become the loudest conversation they never expected. Because now they're replaying your moments in their head. Now they're questioning if they misread everything. Now they're lying next to someone new, wondering if that someone feels the way you did. Spoiler, they don't. Because what you gave wasn't basic, it was rare, and rare becomes valuable the moment it disappears. Let me tell you this, my friends, the longer you stay silent, the stronger your presence becomes. The quieter you go, the more they hear you. Because silence has weight. It lingers, it grows, it stretches across time and space and memory until they can't shake it anymore. You become the thought they can't outrun, the feeling they can't duplicate, the connection they can't explain. But don't do it to get them back. That's not the point. Do it because you finally understand your worth. Because you're no longer available to people who made you feel like a backup plan. Because you're not here to beg, you're here to build. And silence is how you reclaim the energy you used to give away like it cost nothing. Say it with me now. My silence is power. Type it in the comments. Let it be known, not just to them, but to yourself. That you've grown past the point of needing to be heard. That your presence is felt, even when your voice is gone. That you're not the same man they left behind. You're not even close. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're stepping into the mirror, the part where they finally see who you've become, and the comparison isn't just painful, it's unforgettable. Stay calm, stay silent, stay sovereign. Number 6, the mirror effect. Let them compare. They thought they could replace you until they saw who you became without them. Let's get real for a second, my friends. They don't feel the loss when you beg. They don't feel the shift when you chase. They only feel it when they're forced to compare. Not because you said anything, but because your evolution became so undeniable, it stared them in the face like a mirror they couldn't escape. You want them to beg to come back, even when they're already with someone else. Then don't fight their new connection. Outgrow it. Become the man they secretly hope that new person never has to compete with. You see, comparison is the silent punishment they never prepared for. When you disappear, they eventually start looking back. Not because you said something, but because the new situation they ran toward starts to feel off. It's not the same. The chemistry doesn't click the way it used to. The conversations don't hit the same frequency. The warmth is there, but it doesn't burn. And then your name sneaks in, not through their lips, but through their mind. The comparison starts, and once it starts, it doesn't stop. They'll try to hide it. They'll smile wider in photos. They'll post captions that scream, "I'm fine." But behind all that noise is a mind racing with flashbacks. The way you made them laugh with your dumb sarcasm. The way you protected their spirit when life got hard. The calm you brought into chaos. The little things. The stuff they didn't think they'd miss until someone else couldn't provide it. And when they realize that the new person isn't you, that's when the doubt begins to crawl in. But here's the secret sauce. It only works if you've changed. If you're still the same man they left behind, the mirror shows them exactly why they walked. But if you've been leveling up in silence, upgrading your discipline, your health, your confidence, your energy, then when they look back, they see someone they don't even recognize, and nothing causes more emotional dissonance than that. Because now, the version of you they left behind is gone, and the version of you they're seeing now, that version doesn't look like someone who'd take them back. That version looks rare, untouchable, focused. It's not about revenge. It's about rising, quietly, intentionally, ruthlessly. You're not out here hoping to be seen. You're just becoming so undeniable that even their pride has to flinch. And trust me, pride will scream at them to ignore the signs, to not watch your stories, to not ask about you, to not care. But curiosity? Oh, curiosity is louder, and curiosity will put them in front of that mirror, whether they like it or not. Imagine this. They're lying next to their upgrade, but it doesn't feel as solid as they thought it would. And suddenly, your face flashes in their mind. Not because you did anything, but because they heard your name, saw your picture, felt your energy in the silence. And now they're not just thinking about you, they're comparing, and that comparison hurts more than any message you could have sent. Why? Because they weren't supposed to care anymore, because they told themselves they'd moved on, because they convinced the world they were better off, and now you're better off. And that truth? That stings. That flips the script. That makes them look in the mirror and wonder if they gave up on something that was about to bloom. But here's where you win. You don't try to be seen. You don't try to prove anything. You just keep becoming. You just keep doing the work they never thought you'd do. You become the version of yourself they never believed in, and now they can't unsee it. Let's break a lie they believed, that your value was tied to them, that you needed their presence to be whole, that without them you'd stall out. And now you're showing them what happens when a man stops looking for love in someone else's eyes and starts finding it in his own reflection. You want them to regret it? Don't post a thing. Just glow, quietly, fully, authentically. Become the man who doesn't need closure because he built something so powerful he became the closure. Say this with me now. I outgrow the old me. Write it in the comments below, not to flex, not to provoke, but to declare that the man you're becoming doesn't seek comparison. He causes it. He doesn't need to compete. He becomes the standard. He doesn't look back for validation because he now sees his reflection and knows what he's worth. Stay with me, folks, because next we're going to flip the final card. The moment when they come back, uncertain, nervous, hoping the door is still open, and you, standing there, will be the one who decides, not from spite, but from strength. Stay evolving, stay undeniable, stay ahead. Number 7, when they come back, you decide. The ultimate power isn't making them come back. It's knowing you don't need them to. Here's the truth that most people aren't ready for, my friends. When you do this right, they almost always come back. Maybe not with an apology. Maybe not in the way you imagined. But they come back. Not because you begged, not because you reminded them of what you had, but because you went silent, leveled up, and became the version of yourself they thought they'd never lose. And when that version stands in front of them, no longer waiting, no longer needing, no longer looking back, that's when the regret hits the hardest. But this time, you're not the same man anymore. They left you expecting to return to the same emotional space, the same open arms, the same man who once doubted his worth. But now they're standing in front of someone different, stronger, sharper, still. And in that stillness they feel it, the shift in power, the tension of silence that's no longer waiting to be filled, the calm that doesn't break when they speak. They were hoping the door would still be cracked open. But you've built a new house entirely, one with no room for who they used to be. See, when they left, you thought the pain would kill you, but it built you. And now, that same pain has become your armor. You've replaced reaction with reflection, desperation with discipline, and longing with purpose. And now that they're circling back, trying to see if there's a place for them in the new story, you're the one who gets to choose. Maybe you'll talk, maybe you'll listen, but this time you won't break. You won't bend. You won't romanticize the past or shrink yourself to make it work, because you've outgrown what they once loved. And that growth, that distance, that unshakable calm, it scares them more than anything. They wanted you when you were accessible, when you were emotionally available even after they walked. But now, you're rare, and rare things are either worshipped or feared. Let them come back. Let them compare. Let them wonder. But always remember this. You didn't become better to win them back. You became better because you finally realized you never needed to lose yourself to keep someone else. And that's the real win, not the text, not the apology, not the "I miss you." The win is knowing that you rebuilt yourself in silence, that you stayed consistent, that you became the man who doesn't chase, he chooses. So, if you're here right now, nodding, feeling that fire, knowing it's time to rise, then say it with me. I decide who stays. Type it in the comments right now. Show me. Show yourself. Show the world around you that this is your era, your rebuild, your rise. And if this message hit you right in the soul, if you felt the shift, if you're ready to stop waiting and start becoming, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next. Because what's coming, it's not just healing, it's dominance, it's peace, it's purpose, it's becoming so powerful in your silence, they can't help but watch.